What is going on, miners, and welcome back to the Hobbyist Miner channel. Well, today we're in for a treat. I got my hands on my first ever RebTech board. Super excited to dive into this. So I traded this up actually to another YouTube content creator. I did have that B550F mining board that just gave me a lot of trouble with the NIC. So I swapped it up with them, made them aware of the issue, and it was a-okay because they are mining in Windows. So the RebTech board is pretty sweet. If you guys have not actually seen these before, let me kind of show you guys why these are in big demand and maybe my go-to boards moving forward. So these boards very much, there's actually can be hung from like the metal racks. There is a clip very similar to what we have over here and what we see over here. That is made by the group Misfits Mining and by the YouTube content creator Chump Change. So I'm waiting to get my hands on one of those. So today we're actually just going to use zip ties to hang that. But the reason this is in demand and maybe a bigger direction that I go moving forward is this is everything. So an M2 hard drive, a processor, memory. Now you might be saying, well, where do I put my PCI adapter? There's no spots for it within here. Well, the nice thing is check out the rear of the board. The rear of the board has 2, 4, 6, 8 total USB 3 headers on it, and the power for the board is a simple 6-pin. On the other side here, you guys can see, check it out. You have onboard HDMI, Ethernet, 3 USB drives. Like, what else do you need? Now, these are premium, meaning the fact of they cost more, and the fact that they're hard to come by right now. But if I can get these moving forward and it works well for us, this may be the direction I move forward because of the fact that I'm hanging all of my GPUs. So the nice thing is we are going to be running this. I have 2 GPUs I'm going to be setting this up with today. I got 2 more coming in the mail right now. We have the Sapphire Pulse, AMD of course, Sapphire Pulse 580 8 gig. We also have the XFX 580 8 gig as well. So we're going to be using, this is a little bit older of a server power supply. This is a 750 watt with a smaller breakout board for now. We have our PCI cables, our 6 to 6+2. We are using our brand new GPUrisers.com splitters that are 8-pin to the 6+2. These are 18 gauge, by the way, for those interested. We are going to use our GPUrisers.com risers that we just got in, the brand new ones that you guys can see there. We won't need the adapter. And then we're going to use this little guy. And I'm going to put a link down in the description for this in the parts store. This is pretty cool. So the way it works is like it's an M2 hard drive. So you pop out the hard drive, put it in here, and then plug the USB directly into your computer. And then you use Etcher with HIVEOS to put HIVEOS onto the M2 drive. So we're going to go over that today. So my first step, I think, as of right now, is going to be to do that. So I'm going to pull this out, and let me actually put this aside here. And we'll set up our camera. Sorry if it's a little wobbly, guys. We're setting up our little tripod here. And I'll show you guys exactly what we're looking at. No editing, remember? No editing. Come on now. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and pull out the M2. There is a small screw here, so we'll go ahead and use our screwdriver. Not lose this little tiny screw. Okay, so I'm going to keep that in place. We're going to pull that out. So now I'm going to go ahead and grab the adapter. Let me move the RebTech board. Okay. So there's this little adapter, you plug it in here and you screw it in, and pretty much now it's a glorified USB drive. And now we're going to go ahead and take this over to my editing rig, and I'm going to show you guys how we'll put HIVEOS on this, and then we'll return back over here and we'll start our build. Okay, so we're over on my editing rig. I went ahead and plugged it in. It is this 60 gig, 59.63 gig partition right here. So this system did recognize it. So now that we're on HIVEOS here, if you guys aren't familiar on how to do this, you can do this with a USB drive. You can do this with a SATA hard drive adapter or whatever's best for you guys. I do most of my rigs on solid state drives, but this one has that M2 slot. So we're going to do that. So I'm going to show you guys how to go ahead and install this. So you're going to come over to install, and then you're going to come over to GPU, and you're going to download the zip option here. Then the next thing you guys need to do is we need to get something called Etcher, which is selected right here. Etcher will bring you over to this web page, and pretty much what Etcher does is Etcher takes that image that we downloaded, which is right here under GPU, under zip. We download that. You don't have to unzip it. You just download it as the zip there. And then Etcher takes that and it puts it right onto a hard drive. USB drive, solid state drive, whatever works for you. In this case, it's going to be my M2 drive. So we're going to go ahead and download it. And I've already done that. Then what we'll do is, here, I'll just click it again. No big deal while we're talking. And we'll go ahead and run this when it's completed. And then all you do is just point Etcher to that zip or image, which is for HIVEOS, and it makes it very simple and very easy. So we'll go ahead and agree. We're installing Etcher right now. Okay, once Etcher is downloaded, we're going to go to Flash from File, and we're going to locate the file that we downloaded that was that image zip. We're going to select it and hit Open. Now it's going to want to know where we're sending this image to. And that's where that little USB adapter that we have for the M.2 drive comes into play. And here it is here. And we're going to hit Select and Flash. And we're going to let this go ahead and flash the drive with the operating system. In the meantime, we're going to come over to our farm. We're going to go to the top right to the plus, and we're going to add a worker. You're going to name this worker, so I'm going to call it Gambit. You're going to come up with a password. And you can put any tags, not required, and a description. So I'm just going to put Gambit, and I'm going to put Gambit Rig RebTech Board. Once you're done, you're going to go ahead and hit Add. And it's going to go ahead and generate a rig ID and a password. Go ahead and write these down, because the first time that we boot up the rig on the monitor, it's going to boot into HIVEOS. It'll take some time, and then it's going to ask you for the rig ID and the password. That is what's going to tie your rig directly to your HIVEOS account. Once Etcher's done, we'll be on our way and good to go. So I will see you guys back on the camera, and we can get started with our rig build. Okay, so we are done with this adapter. I'll put a link down below if you guys want to get your hands on one of these. They're pretty sweet. So we're going to go ahead and put that aside. And we're going to get our RebTech board here. And now we're going to go ahead and install this in the RebTech board. So now we got ourselves a live version of HIVEOS. Perfect. So what we're going to do now, guys, is I'm going to go ahead and hang the RebTech board. And then also hang our 580 and get the hanger on this one and hang this one here. So let me get everything in place, and then we'll go ahead and get this cable together. Alrighty guys, so what we did was actually power these down to quiet things down in here for us. So I decided to hang these up here, nice at eye level, nice and easy. Now as I said, I don't have a hanger yet. I'm waiting for one to come in from Misfits Mining. They actually have one just for the RebTech board. So for now, I did some loose zip ties. I wanted to make it loose so that I can plug in HDMI and my keyboard and mouse up top here for when I initially get it set up and good to go. But for now, it's just gonna hang here. Nothing crazy, no concerns. So what I do is I put one 580 here and one 580 here, spaced them out a little bit. Plenty of room to grow. As I said, I have 2 more cards coming in this week. And then I place this rubber mat right here. So kind of have the rest of my supplies down here. So where my head is at is I always want to make it easily accessible to power this on and off. So we're just going to go ahead and put this on the rubber mat here and kind of put it right in the middle. It'll make things a little bit easier. And the power button is just right here. to turn it on. Now the crazy thing is like I only need to go from here to here for that, so I'm going to have a lot of extra cable to power the RebTech board. And then I also have my risers. So let me go ahead, I'm going to install my risers. These are the new GPU risers. If you guys haven't seen these before, I'll bring them up real quick here. Pretty sweet looking. These are the thicker ones actually, with the pad as well as the additional capacitors. So I'm excited to get these in. These are actually the first rig that I'm installing these in. So let me go ahead, I'm going to install my risers, and then I'll show you guys how we're going to do the USB cables. So one of the really nice things about these racks is they're on casters. So the nice thing is like as I'm working on this, now granted there's no other rigs on this rack, but I can kind of swing it around. So I wanted to go ahead and show you guys. So I have my two GPU risers here, and then the USB cables, which worked out nice. I actually moved the power supply to the back right hand corner just to alleviate some of the power and also help with cable management. So as you guys can see here, there's that USB cable. I just ran it down, across, and over. Actually worked out really nice and looks really clean right now until we get into our PCI cables. So on our PCI cables, these are actually going to work out pretty well. So we have our 6-pin to 6+2, and then we have the new GPU riser splitters, which are actually 8-pin. So that's going to go on the end here, and then one of these is going to go to the card, the other one is going to go to the riser, which is perfect. And then finally our third cable is going to go to the RebTech board to power that up. So let me go ahead and get those cables in place. Okay guys, I think this turned out actually pretty dang good. I'm actually really happy with it. We did do some cable management, but zip ties are our best friend, but it worked out really well actually pathing things around here. So let's go over it. So the RebTech board is hanging here for now. We have our USB cables. So the new GPU risers, I'm gonna have to look. These USB cables seem a little thicker than the previous USB cables that it came with, but I'll have to look. We do have our 6-pin, and that goes back to the breakout board of our power supply. We also then have our USB cable, runs down and goes into the RebTech board. Same thing with this one here, runs down into the RebTech board. We then also have these are the new GPU risers Y splitter, or the splitters for the PCI cable. So we have an 8-pin running there, and on the back here, I'll show you like on this guy, you see how we have a 6-pin and we just have the tail zip tied off to the side. I did the same thing with this one right here, just zip tied it off to the side. And then both of those come down and they actually run right into our breakout board here. So the nice thing is we only got 3 things plugged into the breakout board right now on this 750 watt server power supply. But it actually, look at this, it's a nice little like 2-rig setup right now, but we got lots of room for expansion, especially with the 2 more cards coming in. I'm excited. One of those cards is a XFX RX580 8GB, which is the same as this one right here. And the other one is actually a model card. It's an 8GB card, but I haven't had one of those before, so I won't spoil the surprise quite yet. All right, guys, so my next step is I need to plug Ethernet into the RebTech board, monitor, USB keyboard and mouse, and then I also need to get power. I run the power from over here on our 240 volt PDU, that's the Triplet PDU, and we'll go ahead and boot this up for the first time. So let me get all that in place, and then we'll do the first boot together. Okay guys, moment of truth. We got power going into our power supply. We have USB for my keyboard, Ethernet, and HDMI right there. So we got a keyboard set up here and a little tower. Looks like a little like server rack here, pretty cool. Fun when you have the room. So the moment of truth. So we are going to power on, gotta find that little black button here. On this board, I'll show it to you. It's right there, right here. Oh, we got fancy lights. So, okay, cool. So these are the new GPU risers. So you actually have 3 indicator lights on here, blue, red, blue, which is really nice to have the additional indicators. And check out the RebTech board. It's got, I believe it's power. Oh, yep, we got screen. Okay, cool. So it shows us, okay, it shows both of our cards, which is awesome. It says here, press escape for boot. Oh, okay. Looks like I went right past it. Ooh, that is what I want to see. Fantastic. Dude, I'm not going to lie, guys. I think I'm in love. This, like, seriously, this was so easy. Now, I do have to, like, oh my gosh. I feel like I need to buy more RebTech boards. I'm not going to lie. That was, I mean, it makes it so, like, look how clean that is. Look how, I'm waiting for this to boot. Look how clean that is. I mean, like all these other rigs, it would be so nice, but instead, like, we're running down to a motherboard. Future thoughts, future thoughts. Okay, cool. So press enter to continue with this URL or type in a new one. So we'll hit enter. And now this is when it wants that rig ID during the setup process that I talked to you guys about, and the password. So let me go ahead and get those entered, and then I want to jump over to my editing rig and let's get these two GPUs hashing. So I'll be back here in just a minute. Alrighty guys, we are now in HIVEOS. First thing that stands out to me is it auto added tags. I don't think I've ever seen this before. Maybe you guys have and I've completely missed it, but the rig is up, but there's tags automatically associated, like RX580 8GB Micron, Sapphire, RX580 8GB Samsung, and then like X of X. Like, that's awesome. Very, very cool. So we're up and running. It's showing both of our cards. One is Micron, one is Samsung. So my next step is to go to my flight sheet here, and I need to create a new flight sheet for this rig. We're going to be mining Ethereum with it. We're going to go ahead and select our wallet. We're going to select our Hivon pool, and we're going to go ahead and set our servers here. And now we're going to select our miner. So we're going to go ahead and go with T-Rex miner here and name it. I always like to. So you guys ever make a mistake and then you realize it when the second time through? So I realized that 10 seconds ago when you guys were watching the video, which was about 5 minutes ago for me, I realized I selected T-Rex miner instead of Team Red miner. We're dealing with AMD cards, not NVIDIA cards. So that's a mistake on my part, but I'm always one to admit my mistakes, so I thought we would laugh together about that. So I just rebuilt the flight sheet, Team Red miner, because we are dealing with AMD cards. We're not dealing with NVIDIA cards. So let's create that miner real quick. Now that we have the correct miner, this should work a little bit better, I would think, than what we ran into originally. So we'll go back to workers. We're going to select Gambit rig. We'll give it a second. It's thinking, it's thinking, it's thinking. HIVEOS is slow tonight. There we go. There we go. I'm like, why did this flight sheet not show up? Well, because it's T-Rex miner and not Team Red miner. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and apply this flight sheet. This will now go ahead and apply it to our rig, and then we can see what some of our stock settings are. Okay, so let's go ahead. While that is applying, let's load up Hive Shell. And we're going to go ahead and start this. This is going to give us some information if you guys aren't familiar. Hive Shell is going to allow you to see things a little bit closer in real time versus with the HIVEOS GUI website. Takes significantly longer to update, and you have to continue to refresh it manually with the browser's refresh button. So we're going to load up Hive Shell, just have it on a separate tab, allowing us to reference this quickly. Most likely what the rig is doing right now is it's installing the miner, Team Red miner. So once we're in here, we're going to do motd watch. And yep, there it is. Perfect. So it went ahead, it installed the miner itself, and now it's going ahead and trying to mine to it right now. We're not getting any hash rate right now, so hopefully it's just building things up. We'll give it a quick minute here to see, and our goal is to kind of see what is this getting stock? What are we mining at? What is our hash rate with our stock settings? And there we go. We're starting to get some information in there slowly but surely. Nothing to write home about or to tell mom about quite yet. But we'll refresh here on the GUI side. HIVEOS is definitely chugging tonight. I wonder if they're having issues or something odd, because it is slow. Going back here to Hive Shell. So our first post, we were at 12 and then at 13. We'll give it a minute here. It'll most likely post again and be significantly higher without a doubt. Yep, there it is, the 12 and the 13. Jumping back to Hive Shell, there it is, perfect. So 28.69 is on GPU 0 and 30.44 is on GPU 1, which gives us some great information to get started with. So now that we kind of know where we are from our stock settings, now we can start to look at some other options. Now, taking a look at GPU 0, you can see this one is at 137 watts. Holy cow, way too high. And then our Samsung one, 99 watts, not too bad, but at 30. So Samsung's actually looks pretty good even with the stock settings here, which is a great recommendation. So what I always like to do to give us a good starting point, we'll start with one is we're going to go ahead and go into our configuration here. And I want to look at some popular settings. These are 580s, man. These are a dime a dozen out there. So look at this here. Quick and easy. I selected Ethereum and 804 cardinality. So everybody and their brother has settings very close to these. So we're going to go ahead and try these out. So 1150 at our core clock, 1 for our core state. Our voltage is not filled in, so we're going to start out at 900. AMD overclock settings are totally different than NVIDIA. Totally different ball game, honestly, guys. We're going to set our memory state to 1, which that is, you can see here, RX cards are known to have 1 or 2 memory states. The highest state will be selected by default. So we're going to go ahead and start with 1. And then memory voltage we'll leave blank. Our fans we're going to put at 90. And power limit you actually don't set on the AMD cards. We just let that sit. Because we allow our core voltage and our core state and our mem state to help with that. Finally, we're going to go ahead. This was GPU 1, which was Samsung. So first, we're going to select off aggressive undervolting, which, as you can see here, set OC for each DPM state, which you can see when you come up here. That this has to do with right up here, dynamic power management, and we set that to 1. And then what we're going to do is we're going to come in and do a tweak. And we're going to set these to Samsung, as this one is Samsung. So it has a reference of 20. Then what we're going to do is we're going to come up to this other one here. This is our Micron memory. We're going to check out some populars here. Same scenario. We're going to start out. Now we might have to tweak these a little bit. And the big thing is our core voltage. We're going to want to get that down. 900 is quite high. Now, this is Micron memory, so the tweak is going to be a little bit different for that. Micron comes in here at a reference of 30, and we're going to hit apply. Perfect. So we went ahead and made our overclock configuration settings. Let's jump over to Hive Shell and kind of see what we're getting here. So our goal is to get the best hash rate we can with the lowest of watts, which is ideally the miner's dream, is to make sure that we're in that better state there. So we'll give this a second to refresh and we'll see what we get. Okay, great. So that GPU 0 got bumped up 30.78, which is great. And our GPU 1's at 30.89. If we jump back over here and refresh, let's take a look, because what we want to look at is hash rate and we want to look at watts. So if you remember previously, GPU 0 was at 137 watts by stock settings, and it was only getting 28 mega hash. Now GPU 0 is at 30.78, and it's at 87 watts. So we have cut off 40 watts total, if not a little bit more. 40 watts total with our overclock settings, and we've increased our hash rate. As for GPU 1, which is the Samsung memory, we've bumped up our hash rate just a tiny bit, maybe 0.30, and our watts is down by roughly right around 10, is where we're at for the first set. So let's go back here, see if we had anything else update. Okay, great. So some good information here I want to review with you guys. Take a look at GPU 0 now. So GPU 0 is actually doing really well, up to 31.22, which is great. But something to keep in mind is we are at 900 watts. So we could try to take this down a little bit more if we wanted to, and we can play with this a little bit more. So what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to stop there for today. I'm going to spend my time tweaking this some more. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bump up that memory a little bit and see what that does for us. I'm going to look at the core and mess with that a tiny bit just to see where we can get at. I love to see both of these cards at 32 mega hash each. Alrighty guys, well I am super excited. This is our fourth total rig build out, which is awesome. I'm not gonna lie to you, I am really stoked about this RebTech board and may end up going and buying another one here very soon. Especially because it supports 8 total GPUs, which is fantastic on this board. Like that is pretty damn good. I'm excited. I'm getting in, as I said, another 580, same model right here, the FX 580 8 gig card, and then I have another card I'm getting in, which I'm excited to share with you guys there. But man, this was probably the easiest setup I've ever set up, and I cannot wait to get my hands on more RebTech boards. Well guys, if you guys enjoyed this video, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.